Finally this hour, we must talk about the biggest night of the year for the fashion industry. Celebrities don their most iconic looks at the 2025 Met Gala here in New York. This year's theme, Superfine, tailoring black style, honored the historical influence that black people, especially black men, have had on decades of fashion styles and culture.
This year, a record $31 million was raised for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. Our friend Today Show co-host Al Roker was at the star-studded event, even got the stamp of approval from the style queen herself, Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour.
Do you approve of the outfit? Is that okay?
It looks fantastic.
It's custom Valentino with Boucheron jewels.
Pinstripe pearls, that's the jacket. It's over 15,000 pearls.
Wow.
It's a celebration of the greatness of black style.
I've been watching my uncles and my dad be dandy my entire life.
I think it allows us to play in the fashion spaces that we don't usually get let into.
I was going to do the top hat.
Were you going to do the top hat?
I was, and I was going to do the tails.
Fashion has always played a huge part of my career.
Did you have to do any gymnastics to get into this?
It felt like it with the amount of hands and stuff.
Tip of the hat, and to all, a good night.
He looks great. Let's get more on last night's Met Gala with the New York Times chief fashion critic and fashion director, Vanessa Friedman. Vanessa, I'm sure you didn't probably get a lot of sleep because you were busy covering this last night, so thanks for joining us. I mean, first, just let's talk about the theme here. For someone who doesn't know much about fashion, black dandyism and this super fine theme. Talk about more how you sum up this year's theme for the Met Gala.
I mean, it was really a historical show for the Met, both because it was the first show in decades dedicated to menswear. Right? The last one was, I think, back in 2003. And it was the first show ever dedicated to designers of color. So this has been the culmination of 5 years of work on the part of curator Andrew Bolton, and he based it all on a 2009 academic book by the Barnard professor Monica Miller, which really looked at the way Black men have used fashion as a tool of liberation, starting when enslaved peoples were kind of dressed up by their owners. And then when they liberated themselves, they were able to take that finery and redefine it and use it as a way to declare their own identity. And then it traces that all the way up to today. So it's quite a powerful and very historical story that this show is telling.
Absolutely. And, you know, this event has a 77-year history. For that to be the first time you've seen this as the theme, why did it take so long, and how significant is the timing given, I think, the current cultural climate?
Yeah, I mean, why is it taking so long for every industry to recognize, a lot of the contributions of the Black community? That it could probably be, an entire hours and hours and hours worth of discussion. But, I think what most people who were at the event, I think, felt was important was that it actually had finally happened. And it felt particularly resonant given what's happening politically in this country right now, given the executive orders coming out of Washington, particularly vis-a-vis cultural institutions like the Smithsonian, the National Gallery, really insisting that race be taken out of a consideration for their programming. I mean, here you have a show that is entirely programmed on the basis of race, really. And so it's kind of transformed the Met into, the Harvard of culture. Right, like the resistance.
That's an interesting way to put it. Let's talk about the looks, because that's why so many people were watching last night. Of course, we had Rihanna's baby bump. That was a highlight of the night. What were some of your favorite looks from the blue carpet?
I got to say, Diana Ross, to me, yes. I think Paula Anthony said, "You are the Met," and I did think she was the Met. That's just an 18-foot train. But what was so beautiful about it, it was embroidered on the underside with all the names of her children and grandchildren, which really, spoke to this idea of heritage and history that the theme of the exhibit and the evening represents.
What about the guest list this year? A coveted invitation. Were there any surprises, any snubs?
Well, I got to say, so the guest list is a very tightly controlled secret. It is really administered by Anna Wintour. She decides who gets to come and who doesn't. It's not revealed until the actual night of the event. The big surprise to me was the presence of Kamala Harris, who, in fact, avoided the red carpet entirely, entered around a sort of side entrance to go to the party. And then one of the absences, which we knew was going to happen, was, of course, Mr. Trump, who in 2017, Anna said was the one person she would never invite back to the party.
We have 15 seconds here, but because this was about black men's fashion, what was your favorite men's look of the night?
God, there were so many. That's very hard to choose. But I do think Coleman Domingo, who was a co-chair, he really got the message.
Yeah, two fantastic looks there. He's such a stylish guy. All right, Vanessa Friedman, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to talk to you.
I feel underdressed right now.
I know.
I'm a little underdressed.
We need a little more sparkle.
Plain black,
All right.
sorry.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.